it's Jim T. Graham and Jason Cole, and we're at the field again, thankfully. We're in the part of the summer where it's not crazy hot and there's no wind, thank goodness.
Yeah, it's beautiful out right now.
So what you're looking at is our Carbon Z Cubs, and I want to tell everyone how we wound up with these. When these came out, I guess I maybe saw it at Joe Nall, but I saw when the prototype was out and I wanted it, and then I saw it again and again and again, and either it was out of stock or it just never happened. So one day Jason and I were out here at the field, and he said, I found a Carbon Z Cub and I bought it. And then I went up on a Horizon site and it was back in stock. And so I got that one. And then that turned into, hey, I think we need to modify these. So I modified mine. This will be the maiden. I modded everything on it before we got here.
Yep.
And Jason was working with me. Also, I want to give a shout out to Prof 100 on RCGroups. He has a post in his blog, and I'll mention it. I'm doing an article on mine that you can check out. We'll add it to this when it's up. But he talked about all the things you could do to this plane, and we basically did everything that he suggested.
Just about, yeah. Pretty dang close.
So tell them about the motor and why we went from a 50 to a 60.
So when I first bought it, I was looking forward to it. I've seen all the videos of people doing aerobatics in 3D with it, and Kike flying it with floats, dipping in the water, and I was like, I want to do that. Right. So I get it and have some 6S batteries. The first thing I did was buy the Morgan Mill battery tray, because everybody's like, you have to have this. It saves the foam on your airplane around the battery hatch. So
we'll cut to a picture of it inside, and then I'm going to do a little piece about the Morgan Mill. But it's basically a well thought out piece of wood that he's laser cut, and it allows you, it bolts into the plane using the existing screws and mount, and then you put your battery in this tray, and you can move it into different slots for whatever CG you need.
Yeah, because I have different size batteries, and so it was great for me to just be able to quickly, easily swap out and protect the airplane a little bit better, and it's super secure. So.
And when he says protect it, getting your hands in and out of this compartment, you're going to be chipping your paint and messing with your foam, and this takes away from that, I think.
Yeah, so that was the first thing I did, but then I flew it, and I liked it. It was a lot of fun, and I could hover it, but it wasn't quite what I call 3D power. It was really good aerobatic power, even though you could hover it. But there was times where there was just no margin for error. If it got a little out of whack, you couldn't just goose the throttle and instantly fix it. It would kind of fall off, and you could go full throttle, and you're just struggling to get out of it. So
if you're Kike Somanzini, no problem.
Yeah, and you know, I can hover pretty good. I've been doing it a really long time, but I just wanted more power. So started reading about all the guys putting the Power 60s in there, and I was like, ooh, yeah, let's do that. So I got the Power 60. I've got the Zor 16.8 prop.
I went with the APC 16.8. Now it doesn't look like it'll happen on this plane, but I'm pretty good at taking really expensive wooden props and chipping them on the pavement, so I went with the APC.
And then of course you got to upgrade to speed control at that point, so we've got the Castle Talon 90s.
And thanks to Steve for that unit. And tell them why you want a bigger ESC, just for the headroom.
Well, you want the headroom, and then also we're pulling more amps with these motors, so the stock one we'd be maxing its limits out. And so with the Talon, it's got us ample headroom, so we're not going to be maxing it out. It's going to be able to run cooler. It also, the size of it without the little plastic case housing that it comes with is really a good fit for the slot in the bottom of the Cub here.
So let's talk about that, and I have a picture that we can cut to. But Jason flipped his upside down. The Talon's made to cool more effectively. It's got the
heat sinks, yeah.
So he flipped his over and left everything stock in there. And if it hasn't got hot on him, it's not going to get hot.
Yeah, but I do have you know, a little bit of space underneath for the air to come in through the cheeks, get by the heat sink, so it's sucking the air off the heat sink of the speed controller and then going through the rest of the system.
And then I did what Prof 100 said, and mine's flipped upright, and I just took a saw, a little hand saw, just the blade, and I just cut myself a bigger hole over the top of the Talon to get air over the top.
Right.
Then I figured he did it that way, I'd do it this way. We'd see how it works.
Yeah, and the other thing is I'm a glider guy, so I go to a lot of events, and I'll be at Aerotows, and the Cub is a really fantastic towing plane, and so they've got the mechanism already installed that gives you the push rod for it, and you have to purchase a servo separately. I bought the one they recommended on Horizon's website, and I installed that with 2 screws and have my tow release set up. So I brought my Easy Glider out.
Nice.
It's really lightweight for this. I mean, they've towed the Atlantic from Hangar 9 with the Carbon Cub, so it's pretty powerful. So I expect to take off scale-like and then blast it and go vertical with the Easy Glider. And we did a really cool thing with the tow line on this because it's just a foam nose airplane. There's no tow release set up for the Easy Glider. So old trick we used to do back in the day was use Velcro. So I just tied the end of my tow line to a strip of Velcro, put the matching piece on the bottom of the nose of the glider, and Velcro holds really well straight. So it's gonna pull the glider along just fine, but when it's time to release, you just dive a little bit and then yank the nose up and it separates the Velcro and you're released. And it works really well.
Super cheap way to do it.
Yeah, super easy. We'll show that separately here, but
I think
very cool.
That takes us to why these planes are awesome. Now they're big, and so you have to take that in consideration. You're gonna be breaking it down, putting it in your car, but they can 3D, they can fly like a scale Cub.
Yep. I could shoot touch and goes forever with this thing. It's so much fun, especially with the Dubro tires, which is the other upgrade.
So I left the plastic on mine. I ordered the Dubro, and when I picked up the package, I was like, holy cow, these things weigh a ton, which I say, forget where I wrote this, but if you're running the stock motor, I don't know if the Dubro tires are a great idea.
You can. You can use them. It's just more scale-like. You lose a lot of the 3D ability. Right. It's going to be, because I weighed them. They're literally twice as heavy as the stock
with
wheels.
The 60, you're saying that the Dubro's
60's no problem. We're going to go out here and hover this thing on the deck in a minute, and it's no problem at all. Now, a lot of guys are using the Cavan wheels. I just don't like the way they look.
I have those on my Mojo 60. They're lighter, but they're more expensive too.
Yeah, but the stock wheels, they're okay if you're flying off of pretty much just grass, really soft grass. They're super hard. They bounce. It sounds like a big thump when they land.
One thing I did do is on the gear that for the landing gear, it goes up into a plastic mount on the plane. I took the soft Velcro and cut strips, and I put 3 on the wire.
Yeah.
I hear it vibrates and rattles around, and so I put that in when I installed it to keep it nice and tight.
Yeah. So changing the tires out, that's personal preference really, but I like the Dubro tires functionality-wise. If they were lighter, it'd be great, but they work awesome for smoothing out landings.
I feel bad that I didn't put mine on before today, but we will see the difference.
Yeah, now we can see the difference.
Say one more thing. They're supposed to be here tomorrow. They are the Cub landing gear. These are the high-dollar handmade. They
spring-loaded, yeah, really nice.
So I should have those tomorrow, and I'm going to drop those on and see what that looks like. We don't have it today. And one more thing that I don't have today is there's a guy, and we'll put a link with the video, but he makes window decals that are from a real Cub.
Yeah.
So it looks like you have a real pilot in your Cub. It also keeps your paint from chipping around where you put your battery in.
Yep.
And I'm going to attempt to put my head on top of that pilot's head. So me and my cowboy hat in my Cub.
With the ponytails, that's awesome. And then you can also use the Cub on floats on the lake.
Yes, and so we're going to do an episode where we go out to Percy Priest Lake and we show you this big old airplane hovering over the water, and the water's cavitating. It's just like, it's angry, like piranha.
Yeah, it's a beast. You can do so many things with the Cub. I think that's why one of the reasons why it's so popular. Everybody loves a Cub, especially one that's so versatile.
Super easy to put together, not a problem really.
Yep. So with that, why don't we go put these guys up in the air?
All right. And then one more thing. I thought I left it at home, and I said in another review about the ready-made RC LiPo alert. It's a tester and a battery alert, but I actually left one in the kit, like I said in the video that I should. And so I found this thing. Basically, this plugs into your balance tab or plug, and it'll let you know when your voltage is down to a level that you need to land, which earlier we were just flying a plane and we puffed a pack because we did not have this in there. So when we're dealing with big packs like this, the last thing I want to do is puff it. Ready-made RC, it's a battery alert. Go check it out. It'll save you. Here we see Jason using his Morgan Mill battery cartridge.
Works pretty good.
smokes. Hey everybody, we're in the lake portion of the show, and we just wanted to show you what these Cubs could do on the water. And you know, I'm not really near this lake. We're at Percy Priest Lake in Nashville, Tennessee. It's beautiful out here. The weather is like 80 degrees, light winds. And so Jason comes out here and paddle boards. Is that stand-up paddle?
Stand-up paddleboarding, yeah.
Okay, and he was modifying both the Cubs so he could fly off the water when he was out here. So tell him what you've done to these planes to make them fly off the water and to make them fly off the water better.
Yeah, so starting with the Sport Cub, love this airplane. Really great size, fits in the car in one piece. And the float set that is used on it is the one from the Super Cub. And it comes with blue graphics on the sides. It doesn't really match. It's just kind of an after, you know, hey, this will fit the Sport Cub, so let's recommend it. So what I've done is I painted over the blue graphics because you can't really peel the existing ones off without really damaging the foam. So I ended up painting white over top of the original graphics, and then I ordered a spare decal set for the Sport Cub from Horizon, and just used the decals from the fuselage and matched them on the floats, and put the Sport Cub logo on there. And I think it looks a whole lot better. It actually matches the airplane now, and it looks great that way.
Are you going to do a little article on that mod?
Oh yeah, I can do an article on that. We can show. It's pretty simple to do, so we can do that. And then the other thing is the power system. Stock is quite fun and okay, but for floats and windy days, you may want a little bit more oomph to it. So what I've done is swapped out the speed controller from the stock 18 amp to the E-flite 30 amp, and then I've also upgraded the prop to a Zor 10x8. Which gives it quite a bit more pep, a lot more takeoff power and aerobatic power up in the air, although it's still not quite fully vertical hovering ability like the big Carbon Z gets.
Right, right.
So that's pretty much all I've done. Everything else is stock on that thing. It just flies beautifully off the water, as you'll see, and just great fun airplane.
And then the big boy, which was awesome. When he fired that thing up, you could hear that motor racking off the mountains around us.
Yeah, the Carbon Z is a beast, especially with the upgrades we've done on it that we'll talk about later. But we've got quite a bit of power on this monster, as you'll see coming up here, and you can hover it right on the deck, on the water, and you can see the spray from the prop blasts just tagging the water. It looks awesome, sounds great.
And when you were hovering it, you're creating like a crater of thrust. It was pretty dang cool.
Yeah, and you hear the prop tips cavitating and it just echoing off of the trees and the lake out here. It's pretty cool. And we had some guys come up and like, hey, that's some fancy flying you're doing there.
Let's cut to that right now.
You guys are doing.
Thank you.
Is it electric?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's all electric. And then this is the big one, and then it's got a little brother that we've applied.
So it was just too pretty of a day not to come out here, especially for the video podcast that we're doing right now, and just doing some awesome lake flying on floats. There's nothing else like it, you know, it's so much fun.
One thing I noticed is the big Cub has a rudder on the float, so you can actually steer it, but the little one does not.
That's true. So the stock floats for the little Sport Cub do not come with a water rudder, although I have seen some people add that. I think, I don't remember what the part numbers are, but there is a water rudder that you can order, and some guys are actually hooking up a servo embedded into the floats. Others are running a cable all the way up to the fuselage, little flex cable, and attaching it to the rudder servo. So that will control the water rudder, and I really recommend it unless you're flying on dead calm evenings.
Get it back home.
Yeah, it's just going to weather vane, and you're not going to be able to get it back very easily.
I'm thinking some micro boat motors in each pontoon with propellers, and then you could really
use differential
you get right
float
on it.
thrust. I like it. That's funny.
All right, this is the lake edition of our Cub video podcast, and now we're going to jump back to the field. That is awesome. I think that's a photo op. Whoa! Jason, What do you think?
It's growing on me. I'm liking it more and more now, especially with the Power 60.
I've also just had an amazing idea that I'm going to talk to you about off camera.
Okay.
But it's a killer idea and no one can know about it, but maybe it'll happen at Joe Nall.
Nice. Let's do it. All right, so we're gonna do an Aerotow here with the Carbon Z Cub and the Multiplex Easy Glider. And here we go.
What you would do?
All right, I'm gonna kind of get level on it, and whenever you want, do the release. And we're off. Beautiful.
That's using the Velcro system.
That's Velcro on the tow release on the glider, so he dove down a little bit, yanked back on the elevator, and Velcro ripped right off like it's supposed to.
I can't imagine it without that motor.
Woo. A little bit.
Nice.